James Lunis, we have these three wines next. They're coming from Bodegas San Valero. These are from Cariñena. It's a Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a Syrah. Stay tuned and I'll tell you more about these celebrities of San Valero. Stay tuned. International variety wines, all coming from Bodegas San Valero. Now, these are 2018 vintages. I thought I'd put these together. They're from the same series called The Celebrities of San Valero. Bodegas San Valero is a cooperative producer in northern Spain in Aragon. So I want to highlight international varieties that are grown in the old world, not necessarily in France. And I think it's really important to do so because I think sometimes you get some really lovely wines and unexpected wines. So I think this producer is doing a nice job of international varieties. So they have these particular three varieties, that's Syrah, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon, as well as the indigenous varieties that they're well known for as well, which is the Cariñena, the Carignan, as well as the Garnacha, the Grenache wine. So for me, I think it's really essential to have these wines because I did some aha moments when I was in Italy years ago, and I was tasting Chardonnay from Sicilia. And I often thought it's too far south, it's going to be too much of a hot, warm climate, as opposed to, no, there's a lot of Mediterranean coolness that, for example, keeps those particular wine grapes in full acidity, in full check, and producing phenomenal, beautiful, gorgeous wine, say from Menfi in Sicilia. Likewise, when you think of regions like this is a high elevation, very much of a continental climate, although I would argue that there's some Mediterranean influence that comes in, and some diurnal shifts that create some really great opportunities for acidity to be created. A really great essential component for wine grapes. So here's what we have. This is a Merlot. They have this really cool particular design. On the back it says Merlot, simplemente extraordinario. So Merlot, simply extraordinary. I'm sure I didn't need to translate that, but I think that's the beauty of these wines is, first of all, $14.99 is the suggested retail price point. And if you're looking for a really nice wine that is really completely approachable and delicious as well. Now, when it comes to old world, so when you think of international varieties, your only thing is, say, France and perhaps only the New World. But instead, you have a great heritage of international varieties grown in Spain and Italy. You have it grown in Greece and Bulgaria, Romania, and amongst other countries as well. So this is something that is not necessarily so rare. It actually happens quite a bit. And sometimes producers are thought of like, well, why aren't you producing more indigenous varieties? And ultimately, I think it's a great call to make, but it's also, think about the earth and the planet. So here we go first. Point score, 91 points out of 100 points. Very rich nose on this. I like the characteristic of red cherry, a bit of suede notes, moist red clay earth, as well as dried stacked wood. Gorgeous. Next, the palate characterization. So this is presenting with a palette of black cherry, pepper notes, graphite, and red floral notes, dried red floral notes, and a 14.5% ABV wine. And so when you think of ABV, that's actually in line with what you're going to find in Bordeaux. You're going to find this in Napa. You're going to find this in Australia, Chile, and so forth. I think it's a really nice wine, great price point. Again, 91 points out of 100 points. Next, we're going to do the Syrah. Now here we have the Syrah. Here's that really cool photography, and so it's that kind of like paparazzi, almost like photography. 2018 vintage, Cariñena, Syrah. Back label for you to look at, the certification. I'll read you this, the saying here, which is, again, that kind of star-studded approach to winemaking. So Syrah, descubramente en su última aparición. So basically translated, dazzling in its last appearance. And, I think that's, kind of a homage to, say, movies and so forth, a well-known star in a movie. And loveliness on the wine here. All these wines, again, are $14.99 suggested retail per bottle. So on here, a nose of black red fruit, espresso, suede, a vividness of evergreen forest and lavender. Gorgeous. Next, the palate characterization. Superb acidity. It's a bit difficult to talk right after tasting that wine, but notes on this are blackberry, bit of toffee notes, fennel, clove, and pepper note. 90 points out of 100 points for this wine here. And next to the Cabernet Sauvignon. And here we go with the Cabernet Sauvignon. This is a really nice Cabernet. And I think Cabernet is one where I think it's a phenomenal wine And sometimes I have some really great promises and hopes for a wine, a Cabernet, and it doesn't end up being the way I want it to be. That is that prototypical herbaceous characteristic, and it's something that really speaks through in terms of that versus, say, too much extraction, too much fruit, too much, maybe even too much oak. But this is a really nice point where you're tasting the complexity of the wine, the variety itself. And as far as I know, all these wines are 100% of the variety as listed on the label. So let me show you the label here. This person sitting down in a tuxedo, and of course the grape head, and Cariñena 2018 vintage. Back label for you to look at here, 14.5% ABV, the certification. So on the back it says Mi Mejor Año, so my best year. And so here we go with this wine. I think this is really that capture, again, that I'm hoping for, and it finally delivers in this wine. So very, very vivid characterization and identifiable as Cabernet Sauvignon, which I very much enjoy. So on this, a blissful expression of bay leaf, cassis, tarragon, and red rose petal. Absolutely gorgeous. Next, the palate characterization. So on the front end of the palate is cassis, fennel notation, pepper, bay leaf, dried herbs, and some red floral notes. So this wine is 92 points out of 100 points. More information on the producer will be listed down below. Questions and comments can be listed there. And that's where the subscribe button is, by the way. So for the longest time, just so you know, I've been pointing up, and it's actually moved. And so yes, I do watch my videos, but I watch them before I upload them, making sure they are correct and they're edited correctly as well. So thank you for watching. Let's stay connected. It's fun to taste wines like this. I think it's great to find, great price points, $14.99 for each of these bottles in your marketplace. Could be potentially a little bit more, a little bit less, depends where you are in the United States. It's a really nice find. I think it's a fine and fantastic cooperative producer in Aragon and Cariñena. And you'll find me on many, many social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress. Also, my podcasts are on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for watching today. Let's stay connected and come back for more. Salud.